Astute Quotations, Part 2. Forget goals, value the process. Pitcher Jim Bouton, author of Ball 4, a book that was fairly controversial in its time. Too many managers strut around on the field trying to manage the umpires instead of their teams. Umpire Bill Clem, 1874-1951. In the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. Robert Heinlein. Most people underperform because their training lacks purpose. They don't have a plan, so they ride too hard or too easy. Massimo Testa, cyclist and physician. How many successful people have you ever heard say, "I just make it up as I go along"? Mike Ditka, football coach and broadcaster. An 80-yard drive is better than an 80-yard bomb. The sustained drive is far more demoralizing to your opposition. Fran Tarkenton, Hall of Fame quarterback. Not the fruit of experience, but experience itself is the end. Walter Pater, English essayist. If you don't see a sucker at the table, you're it. Amarillo Slim, professional poker player. The things one says are all unsuccessful attempts to say something else. Bertrand Russell. The sage is one who knows by listening. Chinese proverb. Never stop listening to your audience. Magician David Copperfield. If you listen carefully to the patient, he or she will tell you the diagnosis. Richard Smith, editor, British Medical Journal. If you give audiences a chance, they'll do half your acting for you. Katharine Hepburn. Your audience gives you everything you need. There is no director who can direct you like an audience. Actress Fanny Brice. I never let them cough. They wouldn't dare. Actress Ethel Barrymore. What seems to work is letting go into the goal, unreservedly. Dean Juhan, author of Job's Body, a landmark text in the field of bodywork. The person most in control is the person who can give up control. Psychiatrist Fritz Perls. There's one good rule in helmsmanship. Let the boat do the sailing. Peter Heaton, author of the book Sailing, 1949. Quick ripe, quick rotten. Italian proverb. Hasty climbers have sudden falls. Italian proverb. They stumble that run fast. From Romeo and Juliet. People whose, quote, needs are satisfied by speed, unquote, they're wankers. Any joy is from fascination with perfection. Niki Lauda, Formula One world champ. To go to a cricket match for nothing but cricket is as though a man were to go into an inn for nothing but a drink. Sir Neville Cardus, cricket correspondent, Manchester Guardian. The discipline which makes the soldiers of a free country reliable in battle is not to be gained by harsh or tyrannical treatment. On the contrary, such treatment is far more likely to destroy than to make an army. And that comes from the U.S. Army Manual. Sometimes the hardest thing to do in a pressure situation is to permit the tension to persist. The undisciplined temptation is to make a decision, any decision, even if it is an inferior choice. Chess Grandmaster Garry Kasparov. I exploit the greed of all hitters. Lou Burdett, Milwaukee Braves. The more a person chases, the more they feel they're acting on their own initiative. Author Robert Greene. He who won't be ruled by the rudder must be ruled by the rock. English proverb. Show me a guy who's afraid to look bad, and I'll show you a guy you can beat every time. Baseball Hall of Famer Lou Brock. Artificial manners vanish the moment the natural passions are touched. Maria Edgeworth, 1768-1849. The greatest weakness is the fear of appearing weak. French proverb. The depth of your relaxation, your ability to let go, determines the height of your creativity. Dr. Harold Cooper, author of The Power of Five, from 1995. Whatever success I've had is due to being so perfectly relaxed that I can feel my jaw muscles wiggle. Bobby Morrow, who won 3 gold medals in track, 1956. When fire and water are at war, it is the fire that loses. Spanish proverb. Stuckness shouldn't be avoided. It's the psychic predecessor of all real understanding. Robert Pirsig, author of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. How wonderful that we have met with a paradox. Now we have some hope of making progress. Niels Bohr, Nobel Prize winner in physics, 1922. It is in the realm of uncertainties that progress, if it is ever encountered, must lie. Architect Edward Searles. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Neil Donald Walsh, author of Conversations with God. We are addicted to being the way we are. Don Miguel Ruiz, author of The 4 Agreements. Discipline yourself and others won't need to. John Wooden, former basketball coach, UCLA. Basketball is a team game, but that doesn't mean all 5 players should have the same amount of shots. Dean Smith, former basketball coach for the University of North Carolina. As a coach, I play not my 11 best, but my best 11. Knute Rockne, football coach, Notre Dame. Inequality springs from placing mediocrity on a level with excellence. Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, 1809-1865. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Aristotle. Your fixed convictions concerning the things that really matter mold your destiny. Emmett Fox, New Thought Leader, 1886, 1951. Life is traveling to the edge of knowledge, then a leap taken. D.H. Lawrence. Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off the goal. Henry Ford. The history of sports is filled with reports of bad luck athletes who always faltered on the threshold of victory. Dr. Arnold Beiser, author of The Madness in Sports, 1967. Then you reach the final torment, utter despair, poisoned still further by a shred of hope. Stendhal, 1783, 1842. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. Movement educator F.M. Alexander from Tasmania, Australia. It's the non-athlete who's afraid of discipline. Bill Foster, basketball coach, Duke University. If it was, Army and Navy would be playing for the national championship every year. Bobby Bowden, Florida State football, when asked if discipline was a team's most important trait. Definition of Florida: God's waiting room. Every strike brings me closer to the next home run. Babe Ruth. Failure and rejection are only the first step toward succeeding. Jim Valvano, former basketball coach, North Carolina State. A hitter's perfection consists of failing only 60% of the time. Ted Williams, Boston Red Sox. All accomplishment is constituted by a series of resolved breakdowns. Werner Erhard. I no longer wanted to be the painter. I wanted to be the paint. Vincent van Gogh. No house should ever be on a hill or on anything. It should be of the hill. Frank Lloyd Wright. You've got to make sure the horse thinks you're a part of him. Jockey Eddie Arcaro. You cannot travel on the path before you have become the path itself. From the Book of Golden Precepts, which were ancient Buddhist writings. Action and becoming are one. From renowned mystic Meister Eckhart, 1260 to 1328. The art of living lives in a fine mingling of letting go and holding on. Havelock Ellis. When I first started racing, my father said, "Win the race as slow as you can." Richard Petty, of NASCAR. Nobody running at full speed has either a head or a body. William Butler Yeats. To climb steep hills requires slow pace at first. Shakespeare, from Henry VIII. Winners tell funny stories, and losers yell, "Deal, dealer, deal." Poker saying. Winners tell the jokes, and losers talk about the run of the ball. Golf saying. A full mind is an empty bat. Branch Rickey, general manager for the Brooklyn Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. You swing your best when you have the fewest things to think about. Bobby Jones, World Golf Hall of Fame. The more fatuously vacant the mind is, the better for play. It has been observed that absolute idiots play the steadiest. Sir Walter Simpson from his book, The Art of Golf, 1887. I get as much fun as the next guy from whaling the ball as hard as I can and catching it squarely on the button. But from sad experience, I learned not to try this in a round that meant anything. Bobby Jones, World Golf Hall of Fame. He plays a game with which I am not familiar, Bobby Jones, regarding Jack Nicklaus. Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slice. Judge Smales, from Caddyshack, moments prior to slicing. One's ships come in over a calm sea. Florence Scovel Shinn, 1871 to 1940. This comes from Robert Piersick, author of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, who says, "This is my favorite piece of technical writing." Quote, "Assembly of Japanese bicycle require great peace of mind." Unquote. To act, but not to rely on one's own ability. Lao Tzu. It's a sense of power, of command over distance and gravity, and an illusion of no longer having to move because movement is carrying you. Sonia Henney, 3-time gold medalist in figure skating. You get to the stage when you're almost looking down on yourself. When you get into that state, it's the best state ever. Sterling Moss, Formula One racer. It is a great art to saunter. Thoreau. Training is, in some ways at any rate, just cleaning the channels through which energy flows. Marathoner Arthur Newton, 1947. Beware of health books. You may die of a misprint. Mark Twain. I could take it as a general rule that whatever we conceive very clearly and very distinctly is true. René Descartes. If you want to be a champion, you'll have to win every race in your mind 100 times. Marty LaCourie, Olympic track competitor and commentator. There is no material for the analyst's couch from Jack. P.J. Ward Thomas, British golf writer, regarding Jack Nicklaus. Great ideas originate in the muscles. Thomas Edison. Our best ideas come from clerks and stock boys. Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. More discoveries have arisen from intense observation of very limited material than from statistics applied to large groups. Microbiologist William Beveridge, from his book The Art of Scientific Investigation, 1950. Every good laboratory consists of first-rate men working in great harmony to ensure the progress of science. But down at the end of the hall is an unsociable, wrong-headed fellow working on unprofitable lines, and in his hands lies the hope of discovery. Ernest Rutherford, Nobel Prize winner for chemistry, 1908. The world's greatest thinkers have often been amateurs. Havelock Ellis. Nothing gives one person so great an advantage over another as to always remain cool and unruffled under all circumstances. Thomas Jefferson. The world belongs to the enthusiast who keeps cool. William McFee, from his book Casuals of the Sea, 1916. The ball player who loses his head, who can't keep his cool, is worse than no ball player at all. Yankee first baseman Lou Gehrig. Soberness, coolness, strength of will, and the power to control oneself are the qualities I admire most. I try to educate myself in them. From the Diary of Nelly Tashkina, 1923. She lived in Moscow, I believe, and she wrote that when she was about the age of 15. Play the music, not the instrument. Anonymous. Once you have selected a sport or a creative activity, the rules are pretty much the same. Bill Toomey, gold medalist in the decathlon, 1968. Power is given only to him who dares to stoop and take it. One must have the courage to dare. Fyodor Dostoevsky from Crime and Punishment. It's not enough to be nice in life. You've got to have nerve. Artist Georgia O'Keeffe. Nice guys are interesting. For about 15 minutes. Werner Erhard. Elegance is good taste, plus a dash of daring. Carmel Snow, one-time editor of Harper's Bazaar. The meek do not inherit the sky. Astronaut Gordon Cooper. A busy life is a wasted life. Francis Crick, Nobel Prize winner, 1962. No mind is much employed upon the present. Recollection and anticipation fill up almost all our moments. Samuel Johnson. For those of us who believe in physics, this separation between past, present, and future is only an illusion, however tenacious. Einstein. If I had to live my life over again, I'd be a plumber. Einstein. Plumbers don't bite their fingernails. Heard at the hardware store. Anything I do, I always have a reason for. Hall of Fame quarterback Johnny Unitas. Either this man is dead or my watch has stopped. Groucho Marx from A Day at the Races, 1937. Our fear of loss is often greater than our desire for gain. Zig Ziglar from Ziglar on Selling, 1991. It is easier to adjust ourselves to the hardships of a poor living than it is to adjust ourselves to the hardships of making a better one. Insurance executive Albert Gray, 1940. The turning point in my career came with the realization that black should play to win instead of just steer for equality. Chess grandmaster Bobby Fischer. Losers visualize the penalties of failure. Winners visualize the rewards of success. Robert Gilbert, professor of sports psychology, Montclair State University in New Jersey. Creativity is the sudden cessation of stupidity. Edwin Land, co-founder of Polaroid. Boredom always precedes a period of great creativity. Robert Pirsig, author of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Boredom is a very high state. Werner Erhard. If you are bored, you are not paying attention. Psychiatrist Fritz Perls. The greater part of our daily actions are the result of hidden motives which escape our observation. Social psychologist Gustave Le Bon, 1841-1931. Your opponent can dominate and defeat you if you allow him to get you irritated. Swordmaster Miyamoto Musashi, 1584-1645. Don't overreact to the troublemakers. Warren Bennis, business author, professor, consultant. The key to pitching is to have the ability to throw a strike when they're taking and throw a ball when the hitter is swinging. Hall of Famer Greg Maddux. A pitcher needs 2 pitches, one they're looking for and one to cross them up. Hall of Famer Warren Spahn. These are the prerogatives of genius: to know without having learned, to draw just conclusions from unknown premises, to discern the soul of things. Ambrose Bierce. The central problem of our age is how to act decisively in the absence of certainty. Bertrand Russell. A good hockey player plays where the puck is. A great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. Wayne Gretzky. A good quarterback knows how to get the ball where it isn't. Werner Erhard. In football, the worst blindness is seeing only the ball. Nelson Fasal Rodriguez, Brazilian man of letters. Reason, you'll always be half blind. Mystic Marguerite Porete, 1250 to 1310. Blessed is he who has been able to win knowledge of the causes of things. Virgil. If you want to reach a goal, you must see the reaching in your mind before you actually arrive at your goal. Zig Ziglar. We try to equalize before the others have scored. Danny Blanchflower, captain of Northern Ireland, speaking in 1958. The value of an idea has nothing whatever to do with the sincerity of the man who expresses it. Oscar Wilde. The space between is not empty. Don Miguel Ruiz. Experience devolves into concept. Concept begins to determine experience. Now you're eating the menu, not the meal. Werner Erhard. The map is not the terrain. Alfred Gorzybski, or something like that, Polish engineer and philosopher. Reality is always the moment of vision before the intellectualization takes place. Robert Pirsig. I see every insight degenerating into dogma. Journalist I.F. Stone. Symbols have a trick of stealing the show away from the thing they stand for. Henry S. Haskins, stockbroker, 1875 to 1957. The first rule of intelligent tinkering is to save all the parts. Paul Ehrlich, biologist. This completes Astute Quotations, Part 2.